In the typical news blackout of a Friday right before a weekend, we got news that the FDIC just seized another bank and sold its assets. Not only that, but the FDIC, aka us taxpayers, just took another $667 million hit. That's losses that are going to be passed on to taxpayers. I am here at the Grand Canyon in Arizona reporting to you about this report, what's going on with the banks. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. I am out here with my family at the Grand Canyon, but we will keep the reports rolling to you. Big news out there. This is Republic Bank, or out of Philadelphia, or Republic First Bank Corp, which is its official name, is no more. It has been agreed that the Fulton Bank will be absorbing the actual real assets of of Republic Bank, but the toxic assets, the assets that are not worth anything, will be absorbed by the taxpayers out there. So we are going to get toasted for another $666 million because bankers are over-leveraged, are making bad investments. We're going to talk about what investments they were making, kind of why did this happen, but we're also going to be talking about, is this going to impact you? And we'll review, of course, the FDIC rules out there to know exactly if you're protected and how much of your assets are protected. And that is such a gorgeous view out there, isn't it? All the tourists are up a ways beyond a climb down here, but not unsafe. I promise you that. All right, so what do we have here? So FDIC covers independent people's assets in banks, deposits, up to $250,000 per person. So if you have a joint bank account with someone else, like your spouse, then you are looking at a coverage of $500,000. Now, recently we've seen that assets that were not covered by the FDIC get covered by the FDIC anyway. And that's, of course, absolutely bogus because bailing out the rich people once again, it just keeps going downhill. But the big thing that we need to be paying attention to is this is yet again the first bank in another series of banks that we're going to see implode. So you need to be carefully considering what money you have in your bank accounts. So the FDIC does insure up to $250,000 per person, or $500,000 in a joint account. But remember, this is the federal government guaranteeing this. Just like they're guaranteeing Social Security, they're guaranteeing other things that, we may not actually see them follow through on. So your money in the bank is guaranteed, but it can take quite a while to get that bailout too. If you do get the bailout, it may be a while before you get that bailout. They have several years before they actually have to get it to you. So be aware of that too. So if your money gets seized and basically used as collateral, because so right now, if you're in Republic Bank, you would have your assets seized, and it would then be going to Fulton Bank. So your deposits would pop back up at Fulton Bank at some point. In this case, since it's a relatively small bank that has gone down, you would probably be getting your assets very quickly. But in a larger bank situation, the FDIC does not have enough money to bail everybody out, and it would take an act of Congress to spend more money than we actually have once again. But that is a situation that we're seeing out there. So what caused this bank crash? And we saw the banks crash last year. Silicon Valley Bank, we saw Signature Bank come crashing down. We saw a number of banks crash down, and that was partially due to the fact that just interest rates were up. Now remember, everyone was expecting the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates back in February or March. But here we are in almost May, and the interest rates have not yet been cut. I just don't want to step wrong here because it's a long way down. Anyway, I'm about for those of you worrying about me right now, I'm a little ways from the edge, okay? So we're good. This is a nice flat space. I'm just propping my foot up to stay nice and level. But while I am not precariously balanced, the banks are precariously balanced because the simple fact is that they've been betting on low interest rates for a long time. So they have a lot of loans that are low interest rate. When interest rates go up, if everyone else can get 7% interest on stuff, and you're sitting there getting 2% interest on a loan, how are you going to be able to sell that? Who wants to buy that? Nobody wants to buy that unless you discount it severely so that they would effectively get a 7% interest rate, which means you could be losing almost half the value on a loan. You loan out $100,000, you might only get $50,000 on that loan. If interest rates go the wrong way on you, you're really out of luck. And that's a situation that banks are experiencing right now. And this is not just banks, but also the federal government is there too. But the federal government is the one actually giving out loans. They're taking loans, sorry. And so the banks are giving out loans, and they're giving out loans to people at lower interest rates than they really should be. And they gave them out to a lot of people at much lower rates than they should be. And now it's starting to implode them. So we saw that with Republic Bank here. The deposits at Republic Bank they have $6 billion in assets on the paper, right? Of course, they're not worth $6 billion, and that's part of the problem. They hadn't marked down losses, and when the bank examiners and such did start looking at the losses that hadn't been calculated in, the FDIC said, you're underwater. You have more money that you owe than the money that you have supposedly on the books and assets. And that's not a good thing, right? If you owe $100,000, right, and your house is worth, $40,000, that's a problem. That's a serious problem. If you have a $40,000 house, we'd like to talk because that's pretty crazy prices. We'd love to see cheaper houses out there, but that's just not the case. So not only with lower interest rates out there, with high interest rates are causing banks to implode, but we also have another problem. We have the commercial real estate. Right? We have all these office buildings that are empty because everyone's working from home. That is a very severe, serious problem. These banks have toxic assets. They loan money for buildings for far more than what those buildings are worth today. And so that was the same kind of thing that happened in 2008 with houses, with real estate, residential real estate. Now it's happening with commercial real estate. These businesses have all these office buildings and stuff like that they're not using. They're dumping them back out there on the market. So we have that, but also we have a lot of deposit outflows. People are not giving money to the banks to sit in their checking accounts anymore. They are able to get higher interest rates with money markets. And when they move money out of the bank savings savings account, or they move it out of checking account into a money market, you may think that you just moved it over to another asset class inside the bank and is still sitting on the bank's books, but it's actually not. It actually moves off their books. It's not an asset to them anymore, and they can't borrow against it. And so they can't play with your money if it's sitting in a money market. Other people get to play with your money if it's in a money market, right? But the bank doesn't. And so a lot of people have been moving their money over to money markets out of the hands of the banks, and that has caused them to lose a lot of assets. So when their assets are dropping in value and then their bank deposits are dropping, that is a problem. Accountants would know that, and I think that when we start thinking about that in terms of an individual, if you don't have any cash and you owe a lot of money, that's you're bankrupt. And that's what happened to Republic Bank just on Friday. Fulton Bank is catching all the good assets, and the federal government is picking up the tab on all the bad assets. Be warned out there, friends. The banks are not your friend, and they are not a safe place for your money as people would think. It is not a risk-free thing to put your money in a bank account. You're taking a risk. Who are you betting on? Do you trust the banks? Do you trust your bank? Because if not, you might want to diversify. That's what I strongly suggest, is diversifying your money to several banks. Better yet, get at least one credit union in the mix there. That would cause things to be a little bit better. Credit unions can also implode, but they're less invested in commercial real estate, and they're also less likely to gamble with your money. Now, for the few people out there that are going to be like, Steve, you are in front of a green screen. I am definitely not in front of a green screen, I promise you that. We got trees, we got twigs and everything out there. Give you a view all the way around. Everyone wants to see that, right? If you're afraid of heights, I should have given you a warning, but good stuff. All right, friends. Well, thank you so much for joining with us at this episode of the Poplar Report. I'll be back in Pittsburgh in a few days, but just want to let you know about this situation that's developing out there. If you want to check out another video, there's another video right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.